You know, when I think about some of these ancient stories, I often wonder about the minds of the people living through them. What was it like to be at the pinnacle of power, to feel truly invincible? Today we're diving into a story from Babylon that, for me, really makes you pause and consider the quiet lines we sometimes cross, perhaps without even realizing it. Our stage is Babylon, a city that for its time was the very definition of human achievement. And King Belshazzar, a man who had inherited a kingdom of unparalleled wealth. I try to put myself in his shoes, surrounded by luxury, lauded by thousands. It must have been intoxicating. So, when he decided to throw a massive banquet for his nobles, I can almost picture it, a night designed to celebrate his greatness, his power. And that's where I think the story takes a fascinating turn. As the night wore on, as the wine flowed, Belshazzar had an idea. He thought of the golden and silver vessels, treasures his predecessor had taken from the temple in Jerusalem. And I can't help but wonder what was going through his mind. Was it a calculated insult, or was it simply a moment of casual disregard? A king so used to taking what he wanted, perhaps simply forgetting that some things carry a weight beyond their material value. Imagine it, these sacred items, used for generations in the worship of God, now casually passed around a party, filled with wine as they toasted their own gods of wood and stone. It strikes me that sometimes the most profound acts of disrespect aren't shouted in anger, but whispered in carelessness. It's the subtle assumption that nothing is truly sacred, that everything is simply a tool for our own pleasure or power. What do we casually disregard today? And then the party ended. Not with a crash, but with an unnerving silence. I try to envision that moment, the sudden collective hush as every eye turned to the wall. And there it was, just a hand, writing. No body, no grand entrance, just fingers scrawling an incomprehensible message. What an immediate, visceral understanding of something other. I think Belshazzar's terror wasn't just fear for his life, but the terrifying realization that there was a power far beyond his own, observing and now acting. The wise men of Babylon, for all their knowledge, were utterly bewildered. It was almost poetic that the solution came from Daniel, a man who understood realms beyond human politics. When he stood before Belshazzar, I imagine his gaze wasn't condemning, but deeply knowing. He understood the gravity of the king's oversight and the truth he was about to deliver. Daniel spoke the words, men, a tekel parson, and I often reflect on the elegant simplicity yet crushing finality of that message. Anemone, your reign is measured, its time fulfilled. Tekel, you've been weighed and found wanting. Parson, your kingdom will be divided. It wasn't a threat, it was a cosmic accounting. A declaration of an inevitable outcome that Belshazzar, in his blindness, had set in motion himself. And just like that, the empire fell, that very night. It's such a powerful illustration for me. Sometimes the greatest downfalls aren't caused by a grand battle, but by a slow erosion of respect, a casual disregard for what holds true value. It makes me think about the consequences that quietly accumulate, even when we don't see them. Belshazzar's story, for me, isn't just about a king in ancient times. It's a mirror. It asks us to look at our own lives, our own assumptions. What sacred boundaries are we approaching? What do we truly revere? It's a quiet invitation to cultivate a deeper sense of reverence for things seen and unseen, and to remember that true wisdom often begins with humility. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and share.